Good evening, everyone. Egypt is actively reinforcing its role in regional stability and humanitarian efforts. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi emphasized lasting peace during a call with President Trump, discussing Gaza's ceasefire and bilateral ties. Meanwhile, Cairo hosted an Arab ministerial meeting rejecting forced Palestinian displacement. The Egyptian-Arab joint statement reaffirmed Palestinian rights and urged international cooperation. Also, Egypt has begun receiving injured Palestinians through the Rafah crossing, ensuring critical medical care amid the ceasefire. Thanks for joining our special coverage here on Q News as we tackle the latest on Gaza. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has emphasized the importance of achieving long-lasting peace in the region during a phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump. President el-Sisi congratulated President Trump on his second term, expressing confidence in his leadership. El-Sisi also invited Trump to visit Egypt to strengthen bilateral relations and discuss the Middle East challenges, including the opening of the new Egyptian museum. President Trump extended an invitation to el-Sisi to visit Washington, emphasizing the strategic ties between the two countries. The call also addressed regional issues, including the ceasefire in Gaza, which was brokered through Egyptian, Qatari, and U.S. mediation. Both leaders emphasized the importance of achieving long-lasting peace in the region. El-Sisi highlighted the need for a permanent solution to the ongoing conflicts and stressed that the international community is counting on President Trump's leadership in achieving peace. Both presidents agreed on the necessity of continued cooperation and communication between their countries to address shared challenges and strengthen bilateral relations. Cairo has hosted an Arab ministerial meeting to reject the displacement of Gaza residents. The meeting reflects Egypt's firm stance on Palestine, with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi emphasizing Egypt's rejection of forced displacement as a threat to national security. El-Sisi reaffirmed Egypt's commitment to a two-state solution and the historic rights of Palestinians, warning that international inaction could lead to further instability. Egypt is calling for unified Arab action to prevent forced displacement and uphold Palestinian sovereignty. The Egyptian-Arab joint statement has emphasized the rejection of any violation of these inalienable rights of Palestinians, whether through settlement activities, displacement, home demolition, land annexation, or effort expel the inhabitants from their land through forced displacement. The Egyptian-Arab joint statement reaffirms support for Palestinian resilience and rights under international law. It warns that actions threatening regional stability and peace undermine prospects for coexistence. The statement commends Egypt, Qatar, and the United States for securing the ceasefire and detainee exchange. It calls for Israel's full withdrawal from Gaza, opposes partitioning, advocates for Palestinian Authority control over Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, and urges international cooperation for Gaza's reconstruction. Meanwhile, Egypt has begun receiving injured Palestinians through the Rafah border crossing for medical treatment in its hospitals. According to a correspondent from our sister news channel, Al Qahira News, Egypt is preparing to admit 50 wounded individuals from Gaza, along with 53 accompanying relatives. With the ceasefire in effect, hospitals in North Sinai are ready. A medical team is stationed at Rafah, while Palestinian media confirm that critically ill patients, including children with cancer and heart conditions, are en route for urgent care. Egypt stands firm against Palestinian displacement, reaffirming its unwavering commitment to justice, peace, and statehood. Joining us now on Q News, we're joined from Ramallah by Professor of Political Science at Al-Quds University, Dr. Ayman Al-Rakab. Thank you very much for being here with us on Q News. Could you start by telling us more about Egypt's stance regarding the forced displacement of Gazan residents?
After saluting you, Egypt's stance is crystal and clear since the 50s and the 60s. It was very clear upon the war when the Israeli entities and its army of the desire to push the populations towards Egypt, and Egypt of course rejected this or not to liquidate the Palestinian cause. A suggestion to direct him to Al-Naqab as a part of the Palestinian. The Palestinian people certainly do not wish to do so, and through the last period after Trump's proposals by displacing the Gazans to fine just following the reconstruction, and the Egyptian stance is very clear. They're not accepting the displacement, and this was stated in the president press with the president of Kenya, and it gave a solution for all to cooperate to establish the Palestinian state on the lines of 1967, including Jerusalem, and otherwise we'll be having more violence, and to establish a state that will be more violent, and to overcome this period is only through the peace. The Egyptian stance was by the president praised the scene of the Gazans returning from the south to the north, even though their home were demolished, and talked about the plans of the entity to have in livable Gaza, and the determination of the Palestinian people to stay in Gaza, and it is a clear and popular and official stance by Egypt to reject this proposal. And the 6 members along with Egypt affirmed in their statement on the idea of the discipline and to pursue the two-state solution and for the international community to work upon, and praised the Egyptian stance and the importance of the upcoming summit to be held in Riyadh to discuss the two-state solutions.
Now, Professor, Egypt and in particular President el-Sisi has emphasized maintaining the Palestinian territorial integrity. How important is that for the region and in particular for regional security?
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi affirmed firstly the rejection of the Palestinian displacement towards Sinai. In addition, and we as a Palestinian people will reject so, and he talked about the importance of the self-determination of the Palestinian, and such displacements will liquidate the Palestinian cause. Even the UNRWA issue that that was banned by the occupation in Jerusalem city, and Egypt condemned this measurement, and it's a part of the undermined the refugee Palestinian issue. And it's an establishment was established by international resolution that should keep its operation for the cause in 1948. With respect to the Palestinian support, Egypt stands very clear by President Fattah el-Sisi through his participation in all the conventions, and even the president talked with President Trump. He talked clearly to work upon finding a political solution for the Palestinian cause, to start with the delivering the humanitarian aid and the machinery for reconstruction, and then to pursue a political proposal will be through the two-state solution.
And of course, today we've had the Egyptian-Arab joint statement. What are the key points from the document, and also especially regarding Israel's withdrawal from Gaza?
Certainly, the document, as we followed, affirmed the importance of the calm after the success of a truce will lead to the full withdrawal of Israel, and to enable the authority to supervise the Gaza normally. And the authority was in place, and he knows cannot get people from the other world to govern the hospital, and the Palestinians will choose who's going to represent them. But the first phase, there is an Egyptian proposal by establishing a social support committee by a decree from Abu Mazen, the president, and then the committee will oversee the process. Furthermore, the meeting reaffirmed to the necessity for delivering as much as possible to the Palestinian people and to reconstruct some of the infrastructure, and also tackled the political issue in general with respect to work in supporting the June's conference in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that would revive the two-state solution. I think these resolutions are very important regarding the rejection of displacement in general, not the stances of these countries. And if Trump wished to complete the Abraham Agreement proposed in the first Trump in 2018, he has nothing but to go and pursue the just solution for the Palestinian cause. Otherwise, he will get a failure.
Now, of course, Egypt has been involved greatly in humanitarian efforts and, of course, receiving injured Palestinians at the Rafah border as well. How important is Egypt's role in Gaza?
Egypt, as well known previously, was some sort of a supervisor upon Gaza for a long term. But upon the war in Gaza, he has a very advanced stance to send the Palestinian cause throughout the world. It is a very appreciated stance by the Palestinian people and all the free world. Egypt, before that, has the first aids into Gaza during the war. Egypt received more than 20,000 wounded Palestinians. And Egypt, for the Palestinian, is the main portal for the life outside. During the opening of Rafah crossing, there was a great arrangement to facilitate the exiting the 50 Palestinian people. And upon the estimations, there are about more than 200 were exiting from the crossing border. It is very important to facilitate the burdens upon Gaza that's suffering the closure of all the hospitals and a great shortage of medications. And we have in Gaza no less than 100,000 that might need 50% of them to receive treatment outside. And Egypt, thankfully, to provide free medical services for the Palestinian wounded in light of this hardship they were facing.
Now, Egypt, of course, has reaffirmed its commitment to a two-state solution. In recent days, it seemed almost that Donald Trump in America was committed to a one-state solution. How can the Arab world come together with Egypt to make sure that the United States appreciates a two-state solution?
Certainly, the proposals as Egypt throughout the international arena affirmed the two-state solutions, and even the U.S. envoy in Tel Aviv reaffirmed that Americans are convinced of the two-state solution. Even the one-state solution isn't applicable for them, but because that will be an increase of the Palestinians vis-a-vis the Israelis. So they will be having a full control due to the level of fertility to the Palestinian people. And up till now, the Israeli estimations on the Palestinian territory is more than the Jews. So the one-state solution, they're not proposed seriously. So the two-state solution is the only one applicable, and people talking about a state of 22% of the historical Palestinian territories were occupied in 1967. And they're talking about a disarmed state to be adjacent to the region, and we've no mind to having a disarmament of the state, but along with the proposal of displacement is not going to be visible, and the Israelis know this very well, that we have like a reversed immigration around 70,000 for the Jews. They shouldn't go in this direction of the displacement of the Palestinians to achieve the demographic. Otherwise, they're not going to get what they want, and the Palestinians do not accept to leave their countries, no matter what the size of genocide they are facing. And the borders during the war, the Palestinians never crossed these borders upon that time.
And how is the international community responding to Egypt's call for preventing forced displacement in Gaza?
There are some countries that rejected the proposals, but there are Germany that supported the occupation never, or rather rejected the proposal, and it's not going to lead to a peace. This is for the first time to hear this. Despite their negative stances against the Palestinians. But I think today the whole world think to the world feasibly, and there's a must having a political solution that will be a good opportunity to discuss this matter in Saudi in the upcoming conference. No one is going to affect the only one is going to be effective in their role is the United States of America. And among for the Americans to get convinced with the necessity of finding a just solution based on the two-state solutions, and to reject the Palestinian deportation, as it's not going to be executed throughout the Arab world. And if the Americans do not convince of this idea, I think these bids will be having a great fiasco. And that was actually proposed in France in 2016 and 2017. Even they participated in the foreign ministers' levels.
And one of the phases of the ceasefire agreement, should we get there, as we all hope that we do, will focus on Gaza's reconstruction. How important is international collaboration and international efforts when it comes to Gaza's reconstruction? And what role might Egypt be playing in that effort?
Till now, efforts were exerted in Egypt that crowned with this resolution by the United Nations, to the resolution of reconstruction of Gaza. So it is in effect now better than it was before even the release of the Palestinian people. In the meantime, we may be fair that it's not going to be smoothed upon the emerging of the inactions, and there is a decisive by the Israelis if not completing the third phase regarding the reconstruction. But upon the convention of the International Conference for the Reconstruction of Gaza, that would open the door, firstly, to facilitate to move on forward upon the third phase. Of course, would be start the reconstruction by the donors that we hope to have a great participation. I participated in a reconstruction of Gaza convened by Egypt with a collaboration with Norway that witnessed a great support by the Arab and Western countries to reconstruction of Gaza. But unfortunately, there were some sort of obstacles, so the matters was that difficult at that time. Estimation talking about from 60 to 90 billion US dollar to revive the life in Gaza once again. But we should take in the opportunities of the time, and if it's going to be a delay, so I think the matter will be more difficult.
Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Q News, Dr. Ayman Al-Rakab, who is the Professor of Political Science at Al-Quds University. Thank you very much for joining us from Ramallah. And that brings us to the end of this special coverage on Gaza. Don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNews EGY. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more news and updates here on Q News.